everybody. Today we are going to be working on mandalas. I've got a couple examples here of ones that I've done. If you look really closely at my work, it's not perfect. Yours is not going to be perfect either. You just have to accept that. Nobody is really going to be looking at it that closely. I'll show you a couple of the ones that I've done. This is one in blues. I typically like the black for my backgrounds. This is another one that I did. I did a little border on this one. You can see that one. This one has to be my favorite. It's all in reds. This is the one that we're going to be doing today. Again, it's the black background. That just seems to be my favorite. I think it really shows off the colors of the mandala. You don't have to put a background. You can just leave it white. And you can work with different mediums. Today we're going to be working with my glazes. So this piece is going to need to be fired. You could work with acrylics and then just spray it to seal it. This is our 6-inch tile, and after it's been fired, we put little rubber feet on the back, and then you can use it as a trivet or a hot plate. And these make really nice gifts, and they're pretty inexpensive. So I want to show you, we offer a kit. It's $25, and it has all of the mandala tools that you would ever need. It also comes with a simple pattern. It comes with these tools, which I really like to use. It comes with a paint tray. You get a paint tray, you get your balled instruments, your large ones, and then you get your small ones. So again, you can purchase this kit. Like I said, this one's $25, but you don't have to buy a kit. You can certainly use everyday household items, and that's what I'm going to show you. So you can go through your house and you can find all different kinds of things to make a mandala with. The point is that you need different sized instruments to make a dot. They can be flat, like a wooden dowel, and you can see wooden dowels come in all different sizes. These are pretty inexpensive. You can get them at the hobby stores, craft stores. You can get them at the hardware stores. You could get one and cut it into a lot of different pieces, and you and all your friends would have enough. You can also use things like a glue stick. Again, it has a flat end on it, and that's all that you're looking for. You can use the ends of paintbrushes. Again, different sizes for different size dots. You could even use new pencils. The eraser would give you a perfect dot. You can also use toothpicks, Q-tips, anything that you have in your house that is round or flat on the end. This is one of my daughter's crochet kits, look at all the different sized crochet hooks she has. And all of the ends are going to give you a different sized dot. Just make sure you ask permission first. Okay, so you don't have to have a whole bunch of fancy tools to make a mandala. To start out, what you do need, I'll show you these. You can also get all different kinds of patterns. Same size, same pattern, different sizes. You can get very elaborate with some of these. Really, your imagination is your only limit. Okay. Today we're going to be working very simply. Start out with a 6-inch tile. If you don't have a pattern, what you can do is find the center, and to do that, take a ruler, go from one corner to the other corner, and just draw a line. Go from the other corner and draw another line. Where those meet in the middle is going to be your center. Go straight down the center and draw this axis the other way and draw that axis. Those are really all of the lines that you're going to need to make a mandala. If you don't have a pattern, I'm going to let you go ahead and work on your tile. If you're going to paint your tile, don't draw on it right now. If you're going to paint a base coat on your tile, go ahead and start painting that. I'm going to talk about this pattern. This is the pattern that we also give out with our kits. It helps because it has the rings on it so that you can space. If you aren't doing a mandala that has dots right after one another, you've got some spaces in here like this one. If we didn't have anything between the light blue dot and this teal dot, we would have to eyeball it or gauge it. That can be a little bit tricky. So what you can do is you can have a pattern like this, so you could trace your lines as well. What you want to do, you want to take just a piece of chalk and just run it over the back of the piece. Just make sure you're working on a hard surface. I'm actually going to make mine on an 8-inch tile. You can see that mine is just a little bit wet still. So I want to make sure that when I press this on, I don't make a mark in my paint. You want to take one of your tools, it doesn't matter which one, and just very gently trace those lines. I'm lifting it up and you can see that I have a really light line right there. I'm going to turn my whole tile and repeat that same step. Just continuing to trace those lines. If I wanted to, I could draw these circles, but the pattern that we're doing today, you don't really need to. But I did it just so that I could show you. Can you see how you can see my lines now? And that's really all that I need to be able to start working on my mandala. I did not press hard enough that I etched into the paint. It's just sitting on top. The nice thing about the chalk is that it fires right away, so I don't have to worry about erasing my lines or anything. If you're doing a piece and you do not have a background color, you're working like this, the pencil burns right off, so you don't have to worry about erasing that off either. Okay. The other thing that you want to have is a wet washcloth. It doesn't have to be super wet, just damp. And that's going to be for cleaning your tools. These are the tools I'm going to be using today. After I dip them in my paint and use them, the paint starts to accumulate on these ends. If you want your dots to stay the same size, you need to make sure that you wipe your paint off after every couple of uses. So I just have that off to the side right here. So I'm working with a black background. If you are doing a background, go ahead and paint it at this time. You can always use a blow dryer to speed up the drying process. So the colors that I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be working on a black background. I'm going to be working with white, gray, red, and I wanted a fourth color. So what I did is I took red and I added just a little bit of black. So when I pour these out, you should be able to tell the difference. Okay, can you see the difference in my red and my black mixture? It just adds a little bit more choice as far as colors go, because generally you have red and you have red and then you have red. It's all one same color. Generally not variations in shade, with glazes at least. You don't need to pour out an awful lot of paint. That's probably going to be enough for the majority of my mandala. I can always pour out more paint, but you can't put it back in the bottle if you pour out too much. So if you're working with a tool like this that has a ball on the end, the nice thing about it is that you don't have to hold it straight up and down. You can hold it at an angle. You can dip it in your paint and you can get a circle no matter which way you hold it. Okay? If you're working with these, you have to hold it straight up and down to get your circle. If you don't hold it straight up and down, you don't get anything. Okay, you can't hold it at an angle like you would a pencil. For some people, that's an issue. They want to be able to hold it any way they want. I don't mind holding it straight up and down. It gives me more precision. I also feel that you can get more consistency in the sizes of your circles when you use a tool like this. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to start off with my largest circle. You want to dip this into the paint so that it's completely covered in the paint and just starts to go up the side. I'm going to start with my red. Can you see how it's just starting to go up the side? I'm going to put it right over the center. And press all the way down. Okay. I'm not going to use that one again, so I want to make sure that I wipe that one off. Important that your first circle is in the center. If it isn't, your mandala is going to be off. You won't notice it right away, but you'll notice it more when you're towards the end. The more circles that you get out, you'll notice it. You want to wait for putting your next dot on until the edges are just starting to set. If you watch it, you can see that the edge will start to form a little crust, and that's when you want to start putting your next dots. Again, you can use a blow dryer to speed this along. So I've chosen 4 different colors. You can use as many colors as you'd like. I would recommend no more than 6 colors, or it has a tendency to get too busy and you lose the effect of a pattern. So mine's starting to dry right around the edge. So I'm going to use my purple. It's 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to go and use my gray. The thing that a lot of people have a hard time with on a mandala is you can't just sit here and go dot, 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 dot. They have a tendency to not be lined up. You want to start out very methodically so that it ends up very straight. So you want to work on your axes, up and down, side to side. You can decide if you want to look over the top and work on the underside of your main dot, or if you want to look to the side, or if you want to look up. I like to look up. I don't want to constantly be looking over the top of mine. So I'm going to start. You want it to not touch, but just about. Can you see how close that is? It's not quite touching, but almost. So now instead of doing my dot right here, I need to turn it so that I'm looking at the same angle for the second dot. And I'm going to dip it into the paint again because I want my dots to be the same size. Right? Again, almost touching, but not quite. Now I need to turn it again. Dip it in my paint again. Turn it again. Dip it in the paint again. Okay, now I'm going to wipe off the end of my tool. Okay, so I have basically north, south, east, and west with a dot in the middle. And I keep turning it every time I want to add another dot. We're going to add 2 more dots. Same size tool. We're going to put it on either side of this line. Dip it in the paint. Okay. So I probably didn't want to use this big of a tool because my dots are touching. But it's going to be what it is. Okay, same thing. Turn. Turn. Wipe my tool off. Okay, you can see that some of my dots are touching. What I can do is I can let it dry, come back with a toothpick and just create a little bit of a separation between those dots. Okay, I'm not worried about it right now. So I'm going to take my tool. This is not my smallest one. Excuse me. Okay, my second to my smallest tool. Your tools have 2 different size balls on the end. I'm going to use this larger of the 2. I'm going to do that same color of gray. I'm going to do it in the valley that's created between these 2 dots. Okay, I'll show you what. You're just going to put it in the valley between the dots towards the outside, turning after each time. And you may say, what happens if my dot is not the same size? You can always double dot. A large part of mandalas is just getting the feel of it. Remember to dip into the paint after each dot you touch, or your dots will not be the same size. Okay. Now you may notice that in the center of my first dot, I have a large blob. That's the effect that you get with these tools. So I just spread it out. Okay. Now I'm going to use my white, and I'm going to take the size down from my 1/4 inch. So instead of using this one, I'm using this one. It's a little bit smaller. This time I'm going to do white. North, south, east, and west again. Top and bottom, then side to side. Making sure that they're lining up. All right. Then again on either side of your line. Okay. Wipe off my tool. Okay. Starting to see a pattern. Okay, we're going to take that same tool, use the larger of the two ball ends. This time I'm going to use my red. So this would be my fourth color that I've used. I'm going to put a dot, 2 dots on top of this ball. The dot wasn't quite the same size. Okay, you see that? Again, top and bottom, side to side. Turn it. Okay, now do the ones in between, 2 dots. Touching it into the paint after each time. You see the pattern that I'm starting? Remember to constantly turn your tile. Okay, wipe off my tool. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back to the purple tool. It's the one that I first made the gray dots with. We're going to make gray dots again. Right in the valley between where we put our little double dots. Show you. Okay. All right, can you see it's in the valley between these 2 red dots, and you see that they line up. Turn it for the other side. Continue to turn your tile. Clean off your tool. Okay. We're going to use the same tool again, and I'm going back to the color that I used in the very beginning, that red and black mixture. And we're going on the lines this time, in the valley again. North, south, east, west. Remember to keep turning your tile. All right, so we have that process pretty much down. We're going to do something now that's called walking the dots. We're going to take that same color. We're going to use, this is my favorite one. This is the largest tool of the small set. And I just love this size. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a dot with that same color, and we're going to make it right on top of what we just did. You see that? So that's all that we're going to do, is make this one dot right now. North, south, east, west. And then over all the rest of the dots. I'm watching as I'm putting this dot, I'm making sure that it lines up with this dot. You don't want to be putting your dot over here because that doesn't line up with this dot. So do you see how I'm lining up? If I were to lay a ruler right here, do you see that those line up? Those line up. Those line up. Okay? That's what I mean when I say that we need to make sure that they line up. All right, so now that we have that main dot on there, we're going to walk the dots. To do that, we're going to make dots that get progressively smaller. And all that we need to do is not dip into our paint after we do it initially. We're going to dip into our paint. We're going to go on the right side and we're going to curve around the large dot. You should be able to make 3 or 4 dots. 1, 2, 3. Can you see what I did? Dip it in my paint again. Right side again. 1, 2, 3. Going down from the red dot to the large gray dot. Turning my tile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, you see that pattern now? And we do that all the way around. Just keep making 3 or 4 dots. For me, I'm doing 3 on the right side. Remember to turn your tile. If for some reason, like this one is really small, I could use the other end, dip it in the paint, and touch it, and that fixes that dot. With acrylics, it's much easier to walk the dots. The paint is thicker, and so you can usually get up to about 7 dots. With glazes, not so much. Okay, so I have the right side is completely done. Now I'm going to switch and walk the dots on the left side. Again, that one got a little bit small, so I'm going to take the other end and make a little bit bigger dot. clean off my tool. Okay. I'm going to take the same tool, the same size ball. I'm going to use the white and I'm going to walk the dots again, putting that first dot on there, making sure I'm lined up, north, south, east, west. Okay, wipe off my tool. And now walking the dots again with my white on the right side. Okay, this time I'm doing 4 dots. Always remembering to turn the tile. I don't know about you, but this is just so relaxing to me. Okay, I have my right side done. Oh, I skipped one. Okay, now I have my right side done. I'm going to do my left side. And last one. You can see that I have quite a bit of paint built up on that. Very important that you clean it, keep it clean. Okay. All right. Now we're going to take that, for me I'm using my red, which was the fourth color that I used. I'm going to use, this is probably 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to go into my red, and where that valley is, I'm going to put a dot. So where my white dots end, I want to put a red dot. So I don't want to go into the valley very deeply. Stay on that outer edge. Remember to keep turning. Okay, can you see? Okay, we're going to take our largest, the same size that we did in the very center, and the same color that we did in the very center. So our very first color, we're going to go on the lines, north, south, east, and west. We're going to go out at the end of the dots. Again, north, south, east, and west. Okay, and now where the rest of our valleys are. So again, one on either side of this line. In between these two red dots. In between these two red dots. Staying on the outside edge. Okay, wiping off my tool. Okay. Okay, I'm going to use my gray, which is the second color that I used, and I'm going to walk the dots Again, this is my favorite one. I'm going to use it again. Put a dot north, south, east, and west. And on top of the other ones. Okay, wiping my tool. Now I'm going to go ahead and walk the dot on the right side. I want my dots to try and go from this gray dot down to, can you see that line right there? I want it to stay on this side of the line, so that this one can stay on this side of the line. Okay? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. I didn't quite get 6. I'm going to dip the smaller end and I'm going to fake it. Do you see how I did that? Larger dot again on the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Turn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I got all 6 that time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, I've gone all the way around. Now I'm going to go and do the same thing on the left side. At this point, you could just leave and do nothing else to this and say it's finished. You can also put a second row of walking the dots just on the right side if you want. It gives a really pretty swirl effect, or you can complete it. It's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and finish mine Walking it on the left side now. Again, I didn't make it all the way to the end, so I'm going to fake it. All right. I'm going to do that exact same thing again, the exact same size and everything. Making my first dots, north, south, east, and west. Okay, and walking the dots down the side. All right, finished all the way around. Now I'm walking it on the left side. Okay, I need to touch up a few of those right at the end. All right, so you can be finished at this point if you'd like, or you can add one more dot. I think that it kind of looks fancy if you do that. North, south, east, and west. And then on top of every one. You could add one dot, you could add two dots. You could walk the dots again. It's totally up to you. Just make sure you're lining your dots up. All right, and there you have it. I hope that you had fun tonight. I hope it was relaxing for you. And I'll see you at our next Facebook Live. Good night, everyone.